Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Iran proclaims that it is ready for war, while Israel prepares for a powerful retaliatory attack against the Islamic Republic. The European Union and Britain announced fresh sanctions on Iran in response to the Islamic Republic's transfer of ballistic missiles and drones to Russia for its war of aggression against Ukraine. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserts Israel's resolve to strike Hezbollah without mercy everywhere in Lebanon. Iran's evil aspirations vis-à-vis Israel will fail as the Islamic Republic's belligerent schemes face a determined nation that fights together, and with God's help, Jerusalem will emerge victorious. Following a deadly Hezbollah drone attack on a Golani Brigade training installation, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the base, during the course of which he reaffirmed Israel's persistent spirit in the face of adversity.
אנחנו נלחמים במערכה קשה נגד ציר הרשע של איראן שגמר עומר להשמידנו. הם לא יצליחו בזה. אנחנו ממשיכים להילחם. אנחנו משלמים מחירים כואבים, אבל יש לנו הישגים אדירים, ואנחנו נמשיך להשיג אותם. ואני רוצה להעביר, אנחנו נמשיך להכות בחיזבאללה ללא רחם, בכל חלקי לבנון, גם בביירות. הכל לפי שיקולים מבצעיים. הוכחנו זאת בתקופה האחרונה, ונמשיך להוכיח זאת גם בימים הקרובים. והעיקר הרוח שאני רואה פה, רוח איתנה של חיילים, של חובשים, של חובשות, לוחמים שמבינים שהם נלחמים על נצח ישראל. בעזרת השם, ביחד נילחם, וביחד ננצח.
The IDF continues to advance in southern Lebanon, consistently making operational gains versus the Iranian proxy Hezbollah, with the IDF spokesperson's unit noting that over the past day, in coordination with ground troops, the IAF struck more than 200 Hezbollah terrorist targets in southern Lebanon and deep within Lebanon, including terrorist cells, anti-tank missile posts, and surface-to-surface missile launchers. The IDF further noted that in one of the strikes, the troops identified multiple terrorists entering a structure in the area. Shortly following the identification, the IAF struck the site and eliminated the terrorists. Meanwhile, in Luxembourg, the European Union held a foreign ministerial during the course of which they called upon Israel to cease attacks on UNIFIL positions in Lebanon, while pushing back on Israeli calls for temporary withdrawal from a number of positions along the Israeli-Lebanese borderline.
We have reached out to our Israeli friend to make our position very clear. No, they will not withdraw. No, yes, they will continue to fulfill their mandate. And yes, we demand on each and every party to respect this mandate and respect the security and safety of our blue helmets, which has to be ensured at each and every occasion.
Que es inaceptable los ataques por parte de Israel y el fuego que se está abriendo en los últimos días sobre las tropas de Finul. Esto debe de parar. Es contrario a las resoluciones del Consejo de Seguridad de Naciones Unidas, que son sus resoluciones y la decisión del Consejo de Seguridad de Naciones Unidas la que llevó al despliegue de Finul. Es contrario a lo que esperamos de cualquier Estado miembro de las Naciones Unidas, que es un órgano que al final vela por la paz y la seguridad mundial.
It is important to highlight that while France, Ireland, and Spain were quick to conclude that Israel deliberately struck a number of UNIFIL posts, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a reactive statement, rejected the unsubstantiated premise as false.
The charge that Israel deliberately attacked UNIFIL personnel is completely false. It's exactly the opposite. Israel repeatedly asked UNIFIL to get out of harm's way. It repeatedly asked them to temporarily leave the combat zone, which is right next to Israel's border with Lebanon. In fact, on the day that Israel began its ground operation next to our border with Lebanon, we asked them specifically, please leave this area so you're not harmed. Israel is not fighting UNIFIL. It's not fighting the people of Lebanon. It is fighting Iran's proxy Hezbollah, which uses Lebanese territory to attack Israel. Hezbollah attacked Israel last year without any provocation on October 8th, a day after the Hamas massacre. And it's continued to attack us ever since by launching over 10,000 rockets and missiles at Israel. Hezbollah uses UNIFIL facilities and positions as cover while it attacks Israeli cities and communities.
Returning to Luxembourg, where the EU foreign ministers, along with British Foreign Secretary David Lammy, approved a list of sanctions on 7 Iranian entities, including the Islamic Republic's national carrier, Iran Air, over Tehran's blatant support for Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, a move that was subsequently welcomed by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
Today, the Council took a decision on sanctions on Iran. The reason is that Iran is supporting Russia's drone and missile terror against innocent civilians in Ukraine. The daily killing and the death of innocent people that we see would not be possible without the supplies and the supply lines by Iran. And therefore, these sanctions against Iran are sending a very clear message. Contributions to terror and Russia's illegal war of aggression have serious consequences.
Jerusalem also welcomed the EU and British decision to slap Iran with a series of fresh sanctions, with Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz releasing a statement which reads, quote, "I welcome the decision by the European Union and Britain to impose additional sanctions on Iran, including its airline carriers and senior officials involved in transferring ballistic missiles and UAVs to Europe and the Middle East." He further stressed that these sanctions relays a message that the international community will not tolerate Iran's dangerous actions and its support for terror and the destabilization of the region. Jerusalem's top diplomat went on to assert that Iran and its proxies continue to pose a threat to the free world, and by means of significant coordinated action, we will be able to stop its aggression and to ensure regional security. It is worth noting that the EU and British sanctions were implemented merely 3 days after Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, ahead of a BRICS leadership meeting scheduled to be held next week in Kazan.
Я очень рад, уважаемый господин президент, что есть возможность с вами познакомиться лично и обсудить наши текущие вопросы. Отношения с Ираном носят для нас приоритетный характер, и они развиваются очень успешно. В этом году мы наблюдаем рост товарооборота.
هر حال اوضاع در منطقه بسیار بحرانیه و کشورهای اروپایی و آمریکایی دلشون نمیخواد منطقه آرام باشه تا بتونیم این ارتباطات رو در بستر آرامی با همدیگه ادامه بدیم.
Turning to the Iraqi city of Karbala, Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps operatives alongside Iraq's cluster of Iranian proxies, commonly referred to as Hashd al-Shabi or the Popular Mobilization Forces, held a funeral procession for the deputy commander of the RGC Quds Force, Brigadier General Abbas Nilfaroshan, who was eliminated in the Israeli strike on Beirut that brought about the demise of Hezbollah's Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah.
إن الدماء الزاكية التي سالت هذه الأيام ما تزيدنا وتزيد المجاهدين إلا عزيمة وثباتا وإصرارا، وأعتقد ما رآه بعد استشهاد سماحة السيد ورفاقه من بئس المجاهدين وشراستهم وصمودهم وشدة وطأتهم أعطاه درسا بليغا وخصوصا في لبنان وفي حزب الله لبنان.
The procession was held a day after Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited Iraq, during the course of which he addressed Israel's anticipated attack on Iran, asserting that the Islamic Republic is ready for war. Nevertheless, Tehran's top diplomat went on to cynically claim the Ayatollah regime's hopes for peace.
برای هر وضعیتی آمادگی داره. ما برای جنگ آماده هستیم، برای صلح هم آماده هستیم. این موضع قاطع جمهوری اسلامی ایران هست. ما کاملا برای یک وضعیت جنگی آمادگی داریم، از جنگ نمیترسیم، ولی خواهان جنگ نیستیم. ما خواهان صلح هستیم و برای صلح عادلانه در غزه و لبنان تلاش خواهیم کرد.
It's important to know that while Iran cynically claims to pursue peace, It has repeatedly acknowledged its continued role in supporting its proxies and waging war against Israel, including during a visit by Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bakir Kalibaf, who visited Beirut this past Saturday.
پیام رهبر معظم انقلاب رو به مردم لبنان برسونم که مطمئن باشید جمهوری اسلامی ایران در این شرایط سخت کنار ملت لبنان، دولت لبنان و مقاومت در همه صحنه‌ها خواهد.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Separately, if you're blessed by productions which are exclusively donation-based, please consider supporting our programs with a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Jonathan Hessen wishing you a Chag Sukkot Sameach, ve'erev mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.